had an idea went through my head. I don't know that it's a good idea. Okay. Like,
I think, if I can. April 1st, 1992, class with Reverend Ann Hart. And now we can stand up and do our exercises. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, move your arms. Okay, do the psychic beads from the little finger to the thumb. And now the pineal. To the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, press a little harder. Remember to envision the almond. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hold, press a little harder to the solar plexus. 13. Peace be still, so mote it be. Remember your solar plexus is 1.25 inches above your navel. Okay. Tonight we're going to talk about food and its value for spiritual growth and mental power and physical power. And I do have handouts that I'll give to you at the end of class that has it all, so you don't really have to take notes. This is going to be an easy one tonight. You don't have to take notes, and you don't even have to really run a tape.
samples.
Samples, yeah, samples. Only this class would say that. Samples on food. Okay. Me too. It's terrible. Yeah, today is April Fool's Day. The right selection and taking of food is fourfold. First, the food taken should maintain health, strength, youth, and spiritual power in this temple of God. Like I said, if you don't want to take notes, I have the whole thing written out for you. I mean, the whole thing's copied. Just relax, enjoy yourselves. Any food which does this is good food. Above all, the food should be suited to your taste, to your need, to your work, and to your spiritual vibration. As you progress, your food choices will change, as we all know. We know that. Okay. The food you eat should repair the loss incurred by the body cells and the tissues that is going on continually within the human body. By constant repair and replacement of these cells and tissues, the body is maintained in health and strength. Therefore, the food you eat should build up and maintain the body and keep up the necessary activity, powers, and functions of all inner organs in a harmonious manner. This is the object of food. So in other words, don't eat junk food. If it has no value, don't eat it. If it's garbage, forget it. Eat healthy. You'd be surprised how many times in the seance room, Spirit will come in and tell me what to eat. If you want to, I've told you about beans and nuts and all that. Very good. Rubarium is in beets and rhubarb. It's very good for psychic powers. So are nuts. If you're getting mental confusion or anything, nuts are extremely good. Very, very good food for you. No, I'm just telling you this. It's not in the notes. I'm sorry. Take notes. Okay, so rhubarb, it might be in here. I don't know. It's been so many years since I read this. This is Reverend Tingley. This was dictated to Reverend Tingley by his doctor, Dr.
Taylor?
Yeah, Dr. Taylor.
Okay, nuts?
Nuts. Rhubarb.
Rutabaga?
No, rhubarb.
For what? Or just...
Beets. What else did I say? And beans. Okay, the beets and the rhubarb have rubarium in them, which is extremely good for psychic powers. Ruberium. Rubarium.
Is that any kind of beans?
Yes, any kind of beans. I wouldn't say green beans had as much in it as your like Great Northern. The beans that are bean-shaped like that, those are the best kind. The ones that are kidney beans are excellent.
Lima beans?
Lima beans are excellent.
How about pinto beans?
Wonderful.
Black-eyed Susans.
Those are all good. Those are all good. The bean is the most perfect food. They used to say milk was, but that's a lie. That was put out by the Dairy Association. Put out by the psychics is beans are a nearly perfect food. And that's what Reverend Tingley says. He insisted, I had spaghetti tonight for dinner. He insisted on having beans with it. So we had beans with the spaghetti.
Southerners are like that. They've got to have beans every meal.
He does. He would eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I try to keep beans on hand.
How about bananas? I heard
Bananas are
too,
good, but
real,
not as good as the beans. Beans are really your best thing.
So what is ruberium?
Ruberium is a chemical. That's all I know about it. It enhances the psychic powers of the brain. Okay, the food you eat should build you up and also help to eliminate the accumulated waste product from the organs and mechanism of the body. Assimilation of food energy and the elimination of the useless chemicals, toxins, and poisonous matters from the system alone can serve the great purpose of physical food. Without proper elimination, the system becomes clogged with harmful material, which causes sickness and disease of your physical body. So make sure you, this is indelicate, but keep the poop chute open. That's what Reverend Tingley says, and that's what his teacher years ago when he was a child in this told him. Etta Scott Bledsoe, keep the poop chute open. So anyway, without proper elimination, we already said that. Constipation is one thing that should be avoided. The best way is nature's way, by choosing the right kind of food that helps natural elimination from the system. Some of the things that help that, of course, are fruit juices. Very, very good. Sauerkraut juice, prune juice, yes, all those things. Do that. Bran. Any food which stimulates and causes restlessness unnecessarily are to be avoided. So if chocolate gets you, or coffee gets you all wound up, forget it, don't take it. Everybody in here is different. Every physical body is different. So what's good for one is not going to be good for another. So it's a very individualized thing, just like your mediumship is. So you have to find out what's good for you. Now I asked Spirit about meat. They told me moderation, red meat. Somebody else might be told leave it alone. You know, it just depends on what you're doing, what your physical activities are, whatever it is. It's very, very personal. Any food that weakens you should be left out of your diet. You eat to keep yourself alive, healthy, youthful, and spiritually strong. You should not become food conscious or a food faddist. Avoid excessive stomach consciousness or the physical life, misprint. Remember, thou shalt not live by bread alone, but by the universal life energy. Your food will gradually help you to a higher self-realization and right self-expression in your chosen field of life. So the foods I just gave you will help your mediumship. That's what that's saying. It'll help you in what you're endeavoring to do.
What do they mean by stomach consciousness?
I think, I'm not real sure, except, do you know?
Planning your next meal before you finished your first one.
Is that what it
Being
is?
so aware of it. What am
Yeah.
I going to eat tonight?
Yeah,
What
I
am
know
gonna
people
eat
like that.
tomorrow?
Eat to live,
I
live
know
to eat.
people, yeah.
Live to eat and eat to live.
Yeah.
And as soon as you go on a diet, it's the first
I
thing
used to
you
be
do.
like that, but I don't do that anymore.
Have you heard of the alkali and the acid in our systems? Like Edgar Casey went by that. So apple
No.
juice rather than starting out with orange juice in the morning, because that's acid and that causes us to have the high blood pressure and the sugar problem because our systems become unbalanced.
I
And
believe
as you go
that.
higher conscious, in he claims, in spiritual, then you become where you need more alkali and you can't take the acid.
That's
My-
true, because
And this is was my problem. I know.
my doctor told me, he said, absolutely no citrus.
Apple juice,
He said, watch the citrus.
my baby. Yeah.
But now that might be good for somebody else. But I cannot tolerate orange juice or grapefruit juice. No
What
way.
happens if you eat it? Drink it?
Oh my God. Gas and
Oh,
burning
right.
stomach.
My rings all
And
turn
diarrhea.
purple.
That's what I get if I drink. I mean, just really bad. And I used to live on grapefruit juice years ago. I used to
Diet
live on it.
Oh.
But I cannot touch it now.
So
there's
with
just no
me,
way.
is it-
Yeah. It just depends. It's a very individualized thing, like I said. But my
fresh
doctor
orange
told
we're
me.
supposed to be able to do, they say.
Yeah, I can do
Juice
that, but
is,
not the juice.
Fermented, and that's why they claim.
Yeah.
And when you eat it all your fruits first because they go through faster through your 30.
Yeah, I would
feet,
imagine.
they say. And as you
Mhm.
get higher in this, you have to have something. That means you're cleaned out. When we're
Yeah.
just cleaned out, I'm getting cleaned
It's
out.
very good to be cleaned out. Lemon juice, well, this goes, I'll finish
go
this
ahead.
first, okay. Foods are the chemicals which hold them in the solar, lunar, and earth energies in nature. You can train yourself to take these energies direct from the sun, moon, and universal life energy, air, by inhaling them. We talked a little bit about this last week, about inhaling colors, inhaling healing. You can inhale. I told you about the tribe of people that inhales air, and that's how they live. They don't eat. They have never touched food. That's what they're talking about. You can train yourself to do this. As your thoughts rise higher and higher, you will need less crude food. A few items of food well chosen will give you all the necessary strength and health you need. Okay, when you go to these smorgasbords and you eat 50 different kinds of things, how do you feel? Do you get sick?
After Thanksgiving.
I do. I can't go to them.
Somebody rolling it
Right. It's because you're mixing up too many things. It's not good. A few foods well chosen. The quality of your food should be chosen for its purity, freshness, and chemical value required by your system, free from any contamination, adulteration, or stain. It should help sustenance and elimination of waste from the system. The food should be agreeable to your taste and easily assimilated by your body and by your mind. In other words, if somebody says, "Oh, you have to try this," and you hate it, and it repulses you, don't touch it. Say, "Excuse me, but I can't." Tell them whatever you want, but don't eat it. A good example of this is my mother. Somebody went out in the woods and got puff balls. Have you ever heard of puff balls, those mushrooms? Great big white balls, and they're like a mushroom. My mother fried them up, and she said, "Oh, you have to try this." And to please my mother, I tried it. I was sick for days. And it's because it did not appeal to my mind, and it tasted terrible to me. But that's just one example of what can happen. So stick to your guns, and a good way is to prepare your food mostly from scratch at home. It's a lot more work, and it's not easy, especially when you work. But it's the best way to do it, even if you cook one day a week and freeze it and then take it out as you need it. Yeah,
It was supposed to be the more fresh foods, raw vegetables and raw fruits.
That's right.
are better.
that's right. The fresher it is, the better it is. The food you eat should be adequate to sustain normal life and natural activities of the body, mind, and soul. Vitality, as well as intellectual and spiritual ideals, should be nurtured by your food. So if red meat makes you think of bleeding animals, don't eat it. Okay? This is my daughter I'm thinking about. She's a vegetarian. And every time I would eat beef, she would say, "Ooh, you're killing a cow, and you're eating bleeding animals and all this stuff, And to her, that's what it was, so I never made her eat it. I said, "Fine, do what you want," which is the right way. So it just depends on the individual again. Do not eat unless you are hungry. Eat the things that your body craves. Always eat what your body craves. Do not eat the things that you do not like and have to force down. Do not mix too many foods of divergent types of conflicting chemicals and energy values all at once. Do not depend on the so-called mono diet, eating only one single item of food at one time. Your system needs variety, such as vegetables, raw or cooked, natural minerals, tissue salts from food, natural sugar, natural vitamins, starches, proteins, carbohydrates, albumines, oils, and all that is needed by the system to keep it healthy can be procured through good natural food by wise combinations of food values agreeable to the system. Some foods are only good if they are taken alone or wisely mixed with other foods. Avoid excessive amounts of food. Eat only when you are hungry. So in other words, don't gorge yourself. I'll tell you another reason is all the blood goes to your stomach at the time of digestion, If you have too much in there, it goes away and leaves your psyche messed up and your brain messed up. The blood goes to the stomach to digest that food. So if you're doing physical mediumship or even mental mediumship, don't eat a huge meal. Eat just enough. And then, let's see, if you do eat a fairly decent meal, wait 3 hours. This is not in the notes. Wait 3 hours after a heavy meal before you attempt any kind of mediumship. An hour and 15 minutes for a moderate snack type thing. For cereal, you can go to bed or do psychic things immediately. Cereal's a good one. Hour and 15 minutes for a moderate meal. 3 hours for a heavy one. And cereal, you can do whatever you want. Cereal, you can either go to bed. Oh, that's another thing. That brings me to a point. You will notice that as you progress spiritually, you will not be able to go to bed on a heavy stomach. You probably will not be able to eat meat at night because it will make you sick. Do not do this unless you're prepared to wait 3 hours to go to bed. If you eat a huge dinner at midnight, don't go to bed until 3 o'clock because you will wake up sick the more you progress. I have done it so many times. I'm a hard case. And they told me, and I did it anyway. And I was sick. So it's a good thing to know. That's why I know this stuff, because I've been told in the seance room. Because I've done it all. Food supplies the threefold energies. Foods are classified by their source and energy values. Food growing underground contains the greatest amount of earth energy. That makes sense, underground earth energy. And are good for nourishing and increasing the physical and mental vitality. They are of the water vibration and therefore increase weight to the tissues of the body. So if you eat a lot of root foods, you're going to gain weight. If you eat a lot of beets are great for mediumship, but you will gain weight. Which brings me to the fact that a lot of mediums are a little bit overweight. I always say it's because the ectoplasm is stored up in there. That's what I like to believe. But most mediums, yeah, some mediums are thin and they get away with it and they're fine. But a lot of mediums are on the heavy side. Look at Reverend Tingley. He's the greatest medium I've ever seen, and he's overweight. But I really wonder if all that metaplasm.
He's fat though. He's like
solid.
muscle.
He's solid.
I love him, man.
And he doesn't exercise. It's just natural.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, he doesn't exercise. It's just plain natural. But I think what it is that metaplasm is exteriorated, like I told you before, and turned into ectoplasm. That metaplasm or protoplasm, that's the same thing, is exteriorated into ectoplasm. So maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. But a lot of your mediums will be a little bit heavy. And he loves the root foods. I'll tell you another thing he loves is cabbage. I don't know if it'd be good for everybody, but it's excellent for him.
Real good. They say
Yeah.
in books.
Mm-hmm.
Raw cabbage.
Mm-hmm. Well, he likes it anyway, cooked or raw. He can't eat it raw, but he likes it cooked. Yeah, cabbage is excellent. So if you eat root foods, you will gain weight, but it will also, some of them will help your mediumship. Years ago, I used to be thin, and I used to worry about it, and I used to try to maintain that. And Spirit told me in a seance, they said, Anne, give your body to God. Let God do what He wants. What do you care? You know, if you're a little bit overweight, who cares? And I don't care. People come in church and they'll say, oh, you need to lose weight. You've gained so much weight in the last few years. And I have to say, you don't even know what you're dealing with or what I'm dealing with. Because they don't. They don't know that the weight doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care about it. I'm not out to attract anybody. I don't care. I just want my mediumship. And that's the way I feel. What's that?
Where are their manners?
They have none. But anyway, that's beside the point. But they do say these things to me because I used to be thin, and that's how they remember me, especially people who haven't been here for a few years. And I did gain it fast. But anyway, that's beside the point. Okay. All food growing above the ground up to 7 feet and containing excessive amounts of moisture comes under the lunar or moon energy. This food is cooling and nourishing to the nerves and cells of the body. In this group are vegetables, fruits, cereals, and grains. They sustain your body and mind in health and harmony when wisely chosen. All plant and tree fruits which rise higher than 7 feet above the ground contain solar or sun energy. They develop through the alchemical process of the sun's rays and contain valuable acids, the tissue salts that were mentioned earlier. They have tissue salts and other minerals of great food value. Their vibration is higher, and they should come first in our food. So oranges, if you can tolerate it, fresh ones, not juice. Depends on your system. Any fruits, nuts, that's 7 feet above. Anything that's 7 feet above.
Bananas.
Bananas, sure,
Coconuts.
sure, coconuts,
That's the two things that-
all those things, and they should be what we concentrate on. But again, it depends on your individual system. Because Spirit told me not to eat too many fresh fruits because they don't agree with me at all. The body requires a harmonious combination of all these three energies contained in food. Your food should be selected in such a way that you will get the proper amount of all three energies within your system. This is the secret of a happy and helpful selection of food, which is good for your physical, mental, spiritual well-being. Food is only good for you if you can assimilate it easily, digest it without difficulty, and the waste substance is naturally eliminated. If something binds you up terribly, don't eat it. If you can't handle it, don't eat it. It must not increase animal passion or depress your mind or spirit. So if red meat, if a rare steak makes you hostile, which it can do, don't eat it. If it makes you feel, if certain foods, I call them soul foods, because they make me feel really good. Now I'm German and sauerkraut is like great for me. I feel wonderful. Spaghetti is another one. I feel really good when I eat it. It depends. It's an individual thing again. It just depends on what
Sauerkraut is
really.
cleansing, I think.
Yes, it's
Cleans
cleansing.
the system out. You're supposed
Yes.
to anyway.
Oh, speaking of cleansing, onions and lemon cleanse the blood. It's not in the notes. Onions and lemons cleanse the blood. I do too. I eat them almost every day.
Sauerkraut was another one.
Yeah.
I don't know what juice they said. I don't know why you put that. Yeah.
Reverend Tingley takes sauerkraut juice almost every day.
That's
He does it because of problems that he's got, for elimination, but it doesn't hurt anything. I know that, and
Garlic
it is
too?
good. Garlic is good. Garlic warms the blood. If you're having circulation problems, garlic is very good. Garlic will warm you up if you're cold all the time.
Joe that. Man,
Raw
he's
garlic.
something else. Poor old Joe out here. He's going under. I'm picking him up. It's really cold.
Mm-hmm. Tell him to eat garlic. It's very, very good. And eat several different kinds of garlic. There are different kinds. There's elephant garlic. There's regular garlic. There's all different kinds. And you can find them, the different ones, out at Cubs Foods. They have different ones out there. Buy one of each and try them all, because they all have different things in them. And they're all good. Remember, the food is only the means of energy. Do not condemn anyone for their dislikes of food. Be true to your own ideals, but do not judge others. But be an example to others by your good life, your art of living, your right thinking. Your meditation and spiritual self-realization must be helped by your food. This is your supreme test of right selection of food and spiritual sustenance. By following this principle, you will be able to refine the vibrational consciousness of your body. In other words, your vibrations will rise. Your consciousness will rise by following the right diets. And Spirit does say, meat in moderation. Here is a breakfast I use myself 365 days a year without fail to keep my intestines clean and thereby eliminating constipation. The juice of 1 lemon, 1 helping of oatmeal, and after that, whatever you like. Okay, that's the end of the food thing. And we're going to go into a little bit of mediumship. I'll pass these out. Anybody have any questions? Okay. We're going to talk about inner vision. This is an instant replay. And clairvoyance. The back of your head is your psychic shelf. You can feel it back there. Feel the back of your head. You can feel those bones. Okay. That is also called the psychic screen. S-C-R-E-E-N, screen. When you're going to give messages, when you're first starting out or anytime, pat the back of your head gently and get that activated. That is your psychic shelf. It is also your psychic screen. It's at the back of your head. Pat that. It will help your clairvoyance. Another thing to do, I might have told you this already, is you close your eyes and put your fingers on it and you'll see things. You'll see colors. You'll see spirit lights.
Screen?
Pat the back of your head.
Oh, pat.
Yeah. Another thing to do is put your fingers right over your eyes, just like I just said, and press gently. Right now I'm seeing little joy guide lights. I'm seeing kind of a blue for healers. And that's all I'm seeing right now. You'll see different things at different times. Press your fingers on them, Laurel.
I can see it without pressing this
Yeah, if you press your fingers, it'll increase your clairvoyance, so you'll see more of it all the time.
on your eyes.
On your eyes. Yep. That is right from the seance room. It's not in these notes. But you would, if you do that every once in a while, you will notice a big jump in your clairvoyance.
You do see.
In Revelations 1:10, written by John, said, I was in the Spirit when he was on Mount Patmos. So attunement is very, very important. You have to take a brief time before a reading or before anything you're going to do that's important to you and say a prayer to your guides. Always say that prayer and call them in for help. And realize that the power that you manifest when you give somebody a message and it's accurate, or whatever phase of mediumship you're doing, is from God. Ego destroys mediumship quicker than anything. It'll take it away quicker than it came. And don't try to handle any phase of mediumship that isn't comfortable for you. If you don't like a certain phase, if you're not attracted to it, leave it alone. It's just not good, because there are reasons your guides are influencing you. And your chemistry in your body might be suited for one kind of mediumship, but not for another. And chances are, if you're drawn to it, that's what you're suited for. We allow the physical activities, the body activities, and the physical life to interfere with our mediumship and interfere with the psychic all the time. We're just overloaded with physical problems. And it's fair, and it's wonderful, and it's the best way to take some time out of your day and say, this I'm setting aside for myself and my guides, and do it. Take 20 minutes a day, or 15 minutes, or whatever. Go into meditation naturally and achieve a relaxed state. Whether it's music, whatever kind of music you like, that brings you to a relaxed state, play it. If it's concentrating on a beautiful object, do it. If it's thinking about somebody you really love, do that. Whatever makes you relax, do it. Put aside your material problems. Don't sit there and think about a million things that you're supposed to be doing, or the million things that, you've already done, or the problems that you've got. Put all that aside. Blank it out. Be natural for mediumship. You've got to relax. You've got to let go and let God. You'll notice, those of you who have been behind the podium, that something takes over there. And that it just, you can tune in easier up there than you can other places. That's because spirit is right there. It's magnetized. So let go and let God. I told you this before, don't worry about your hair, your dress, whatever. Don't worry about it once you're up there. Whatever you're doing, I don't care if it's behind the podium or if you're just giving somebody a reading at your house. Forget yourself. Forget self. It's a very important thing. Get away from yourself. And remember that you're there to help that person, that you're a channel of God. I've told you this before, God has no other arms, eyes, or hands or feet to work through but you. So remember that God is working through you. Don't allow fear to interfere. Don't be afraid. Have confidence in your guides. You know, I have a bad habit. I'll say, gee, I didn't do that reading very good. And my guide came in and she said, I don't want to hear that anymore. She said, when I'm giving you something, she said, it's coming from God's world. And I want you to respect us and respect that. So they get hurt. They get hurt because they're giving their best and you're their channel and obviously they're attuned to you or that you wouldn't have them. So when you get it, give it and have confidence in it. And you'd be surprised, the weirdest things will come out to really impress somebody with the spiritual aspect of your reading. Things that nobody else could ever know will come out. And they might be the weirdest things you ever heard of, but your guides will know them. Rapport is very important. Come into rapport with your guides. Relax your body. Body relaxation is very important. And again, attune your mind to spirit. If you're thinking of a million different things and you can't calm down, do it again. Try it again because it won't work if you're not calm, if you're not passive in mood. Call your doctor, your Indian, your joy guide. Call them all in. Call your master teacher. If you don't know all their names, say my inner and outer band and call the ones you do know their names. They know their names. They don't care. They're not proud. They don't put as much stock in his name as we do. And don't underestimate the power of your joy guides. They are little children. They present themselves as little children. But they are extremely wise. They are extremely wise. And your joy guides are the ones that bring you the messages. Those are the message bearers. Joy guides are ageless. There is no age. So even though they present themselves as little children, they're, ageless. Okay, plexavoice is a phase of mediumship that comes from the solar plexus, the abdominal brain. It is an independent voice mediumship. Okay, that means that spirit will speak right out of your solar plexus into the air. You might be in a store and your little guide might say, "Don't buy that, I don't like it." And they'll say it right out loud, and that is plexavoice. There was a famous medium, and I don't know her name, Jim knows it, and he tells a story about she went into a perfume counter, and this joy guide kept saying all kinds of insulting things. They're funny. Joy guides are funny. Sometimes they're a little bit insulting, but they're doing it to make you laugh. They don't do it with a bad intent. But this little joy guide kept saying, "Ooh, that stinks. I don't like that. Don't get that one, Mama." And all this. And this clerk is looking around, and the people in the store, and this woman was alone. And, it was really hilarious. But that's plexavoice. Now, you'll notice also that when you're doing a reading and you're coming into rapport, your solar plexus will make gurgling noises. And that is because it is opening up to spirit. Mine does it terribly. It does it in seances, and it gets embarrassing when people don't know what's going on. But when I'm doing a reading, it really gets embarrassing. Don't hit it and tell it to shut up like I've done in the past.
So am I.
Yeah, I sit there, shut up, shut up, shut up, don't do that. Don't do that. Let it be. Because if you're suited for it, that's the way, unless it totally embarrasses you. And you don't want it.
When I was a little girl, regardless of diabetes and that, whenever we would take communion,
Mm-hmm.
hard to
Yeah. Yeah. I used to smack myself in the stomach when it happened
How
and
do
say,
you spell-
shut up, you know.
How do you spell flexible?
Okay, Plexivoice is Plexivoce. Just like it sounds. The practical understanding of the laws of mediumship is essential. We've been talking about the laws of mediumship since we opened this class last year, whenever it was, last October, November. There are different ones. We'll go into that further at a different time. But I've been telling you the rules of mediumship all the way along, about conditions and everything like that. All those things are absolutely essential for your understanding in order to develop your mediumship. A sincere desire is important, absolutely important. A sincere desire to give out only the highest and the best, and you must wish to be of service to mankind. That's got to be your bottom line thought. You must want to work for God and help humanity. The way to progress and the way to help yourself to the Godhead is to help mankind. Help your fellow man and you'll go everywhere. You'll get exactly what you need and what you want. Mediumship is the holiest gift ever received by mankind. Just think of the good it does for people. It can save lives. I mean, the healing, the mediumship of healing. The mediumship, it can even save lives just by giving a verbal reading. You can save people's lives. You can turn them around. You can show them God. Remember the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You're going to get back exactly what you send out. You have people come to you and they'll say, my life is a mess, it's terrible, and you just know that they're making it that way because of what they're putting out. But you can't say that to them. You have to be very tactful. That's an important rule of mediumship, is tact. Okay, there's a law called the law of vibration concerning mediumship and sittings. It concerns the rate of vibration that you're getting in. Of course, we are on a low rate of vibration. We are slow. Spirit is like a fan blade. They're going around. You can't see the blades because they're going so fast. And that is why, that's a simple way to explain it as to why we do not see spirit all the time. Because our vibrations are slow. And theirs are extremely fast, and we cannot perceive them, only under certain conditions. So a medium, in order to receive those vibrations, has got to speed up their own vibrations. That is what mediumship is raising your vibration so that you can contact the spirit world, because their vibrations are naturally higher than ours. Yeah. You know the fan is there, the fan blades are there, but you can't see them because they're going so fast. But you know that they're there. That's the same way. Okay, the rate of vibration determines their nature. If they're a lower vibration, they're not going to be as high. Okay, and the people that you're sitting with have a very definite bearing on your sitting, on whatever you're doing. If you are sitting with a bunch of lowlifes that have their mind on sex and drugs and you name it, you're not going to get anything. Okay? You're not going to get
Come
anything.
out of a high one into a lower one.
Right.
Into music or into a bunch of them.
You have got to check. Be careful, be selective on who you have in your groups when you start, or who you read for. I've run into that lately. I was screening them for a long time, but the last about 6 readings I've had were of a lower vibration, and I could hardly get through it. And I felt embarrassed to put my joy guide through it. And I told her the other night, I said,
When you
Lotus,
get a case like that, Ann, what do you tell them?
I did the best I could, and I kept praying to Lotus Blossom. I said, please help me.
Depressed? Is that what you're saying? Depressed?
They weren't depressed. Depressed people are hard to read for too sometimes, but I'm talking about low entities. I'm talking about people that are too engrossed in the physical.
Oh.
Like all they think about is who
Money.
they're going to go to bed with that
Money
night,
or
or how
Why
much
would
money they
want a
have.
reading?
They
What?
want money. They want a lot.
They want money. They want sex.
That's what.
No, but why would they want a reading?
That's why, because they want to find out.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's
oh.
what's paramount in their life.
What's that?
This is what they think of. This is
That's exactly what they think
How do you
of.
handle that then? Tell me.
I did the
wanna
best
know.
I could. I gave her what I got. And there was more than one. There was like the last 6. And I told Lotus Blossom, I said, I'm not giving private readings anymore. And she said, yes, you are. She said, because it's part of the thing. Yeah. She said, yes, you are. It's part of your calling, and you're going to do it.
It must be something that they're coming here they got to get from us. what I'm
Well,
trying to say.
your duty
Some
is-
spirit.
At that time, when you run into somebody like that, is to try to lift their vibrations. To tell them, you are too engrossed in the physical, you would do well to meditate. You can say it very tactfully. You don't even have to say the part about too engrossed in the physical. You can just say, meditation would do you a lot of good, which it would anybody, but especially tell somebody like that.
Read higher books.
Yeah,
The
read
better
some good
TV
books.
Programs,
Right.
The violence and
That
that.
Right.
TV
That's
could
so
be
low. That's I told. I had to
That
tell
TV
this
is
one
terrible.
lady came to me the first reading time.
Mhm.
About the little girl. I had to say that.
Yeah, I've had some things that were so bad that I didn't want Lotus Blossom associated with it. I really didn't. And Mabel Riffle told me, she said, don't worry about Lotus Blossom. Nobody's going to mess up her vibrations. But another thing you have to think about is if you are continually exposed to that type of person in your readings, you are going to soak that up. A medium is going to
Protection
feel
around
it.
us, right? That's what I
Put your
think.
protection around, but also try to avoid it. Just try to avoid it if you can. If you get a negative feeling when somebody calls you for a reading, and you feel like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, make an excuse. Say, I'm all booked up. That's all you have to do. You get to know the ones, and another way is to ask them who recommended them to you. Because
How about at a psychic fair where they're taking the money and they're screening them out there, aren't they? Just
they aren't screening them.
fly through.
Anybody that comes through with that money is going to do it, and you are letting yourself open, so put that protection around you. Your guides make allowances for that. But you're really open. And make sure you shut it off. Like I always turn on the light switch mentally and then turn it off at the end of it. Because you're allowing yourself, and those at psychic fairs is a good point, because you get them all there. You get them all.
If you
Yeah.
had like steady customer, how often should you read for somebody?
You should read for somebody as often as the conditions change in their life. If they become upsetting, some people will have the same life year after year, and it is of no good to come and get anything. They're just stalemated. They're dull. Yeah, they're flatlined. They're flatliners. Yeah, those kind of people, discourage them. Say, just call me if anything happens. But the best thing is, if they ask you that, which they will ask you, just tell them when things change, when conditions change, and some of the stuff I've told you happens, and you feel a need for guidance, then you come back. Otherwise, they'll accuse you of ripping them off and making them come back. They do that also. So, you want to be careful what you say.
Another thing, Ann, our time, our phones, everybody calling for constant, calling. You got to somehow cut
She
it
got
off.
to turn the telephone off.
No, I mean, how chop it off without the crying. You can't when they're crying, but as soon as they settle down enough.
Well, it's best to avoid, if somebody really needs the help, it's your duty to give it. If somebody is just wasting your time, then
over and over,
don't bother even answering the call. You have an answering machine.
Yeah.
Screen your calls. Reverend Tingley gets a lot of crazy calls. I mean, he got like
I got
5 calls today from some guy that is really a mess, and about 3 from another one. Anyway, he screens his calls because of that. And that's why I always say, call me. If I'm there, I'll pick it up, which I do for anybody here. But there's a lot of people I don't pick it up for. Yeah, screen your calls. Screen your readings. I mean, if you get a vibration that you don't want to read for that person, it's your guides telling you. Remember that. It's not you. It's your guides telling you. And it's never failed me. When I got the vibration that I didn't want to read for somebody, and I did it anyway, my God, it was awful. Just awful. So I follow those gut feelings, because that is Spirit coming through and telling you. Your sitters are important in your groups that you're sitting with, whether it's for a seance or whatever you're sitting for, whatever it is, whether it's a dark session or whatever. Your sitters are very important. If you have somebody that's negative, if you have 2 people that hate each other, you're not going to have very good results. You've got to have harmony. Harmony is indispensable. And watch your thoughts.
We've been through it, haven't we?
Control your thoughts. And watch your thoughts when you're in the seance, especially. Spirit is around us constantly. But in a seance, it seems to be heightened and intensified. And not one thought goes out that they don't know. Sometimes, at other times, they're in your vibration, but you never know who's there or who's, you never know that. But in the seance, you can bet that every thought is monitored, your aura is checked, everything is checked. Your chakras, they know the whole score. You don't have to say a word. Which brings me to another point. When you're in a seance, it is good to speak to Spirit very respectfully, very lovingly, very gratefully. It will bring them back more and more. You'll get more results and you'll get more Spirit help. So it is good to stay in a development class. That's what Reverend Tingley said in these notes. It is good to stay in it and to keep on progressing. If you have a harmonious condition and a good teacher. If you don't have that, don't stay in it.
I know, but
You do. Thank you. Be practical, be peaceful, be punctual, and be conscientious. Practical, peaceful, punctual, and conscientious. I'm just going to throw this in. Smoking, if you inhale, which I don't, but if you do. Does anybody here smoke besides me? Nobody does, never mind then. But anyway, you can tell somebody else if they ask you.